Lust isn't just a fleeting desire, it's a spiritual parasite, silently draining your energy, corrupting your purpose, and leading you into a barren existence. You think it's harmless, a momentary indulgence, but beneath the surface, it's slowly poisoning your soul, robbing you of true fulfillment. The longer you feed it, the emptier you become, until you're left in a desert of your own making, spiritually barren and lost. But what if I told you there's a way to break free, to reclaim your soul's power and purpose? Stay with me and I'll show you how. The Silent Betrayal. How lust becomes the silent thief of life's purpose. Lust isn't just a momentary weakness, it's a quiet thief that steals your life's purpose. It begins as a harmless temptation, a fleeting thought, a desire you think you can control. But over time, it embeds itself deeper within you, shifting from a mere distraction to a force that shapes your actions, your decisions, and ultimately your identity. What makes lust dangerous isn't its obviousness, it's the subtlety with which it infiltrates your life. In the beginning, it promises temporary satisfaction, a quick release from stress, or a false sense of belonging. It tricks you into thinking it's harmless, even normal. But what it's really doing is eroding your soul's connection to its true purpose. Every time you indulge, you are feeding an addiction that pulls you further from your authentic self. You start to lose touch with what truly matters, focusing more on instant gratification than long-term fulfillment. Lust redirects your energy away from meaningful goals. It distorts your priorities, making you chase fleeting pleasures instead of pursuing growth, creativity, or connection. When you choose lust over clarity, you're trading your potential for emptiness, giving into a cycle of temporary highs, followed by deeper lows. It's a cycle that doesn't allow you to focus on your calling, your higher purpose, or your true potential. This silent betrayal unfolds slowly. You may not notice at first, but as time passes, you begin to feel disconnected, directionless, and empty. Lust replaces genuine intimacy with shallow connections, distorts your perception of love, and isolates you from the deep, fulfilling relationships that nourish your spirit. The most dangerous part of lust is that it steals from you without you even realizing it. It doesn't show up with flashing warning signs. Instead, it seduces you with small compromises, and before you know it, your soul feels barren. Your sense of purpose and fulfillment fades, leaving behind a void that no amount of indulgence can fill. Breaking free from lust requires a conscious decision to stop feeding the beast. It takes discipline, awareness, and the courage to face the emptiness that lust hides. But once you see the truth, you'll realize that the greatest betrayal was never lust itself. It was allowing it to steal your soul's potential without a fight. The deceptive mirage. What lust promises versus what it delivers. It promises you everything: excitement, pleasure, release, but delivers nothing more than an emptiness that creeps into your soul. When you're caught in lust's grip, it feels like the fulfillment you've been searching for is just one indulgence away. But the moment you satisfy that craving, the joy is fleeting, and you're left with the hollow aftermath of regret, shame, and disconnection. Lust promises instant gratification. It tells you that all your emotional and physical needs can be met in one act, that this brief escape will ease your stress, your frustration, your loneliness. But what it doesn't tell you is that the satisfaction is temporary. It's an illusion, a mirage, shimmering just beyond your reach. The moment you think you've touched it, it fades, leaving you thirsting for more, deeper, stronger, yet always unsatisfied. The truth is, lust creates a vicious cycle of want. It builds up your desires only to leave you more desperate, more disconnected from who you truly are. Instead of bringing lasting happiness, it chains you to a temporary high, and each time you indulge, the cost rises. You start to crave more than just physical satisfaction. You begin to lose sight of your deeper desires, meaningful connection, spiritual fulfillment, emotional intimacy. Lust distorts them, pulling you further away from the essence of what your soul truly needs. Lust also promises control. It whispers that if you give in to it, you'll be in charge, that you can manipulate and manage your feelings through indulgence. But it's a lie. The more you indulge, the more you're enslaved. You're not in control, the lust is. It dictates your thoughts, your actions, and slowly your entire life. The emptiness that follows each indulgence is a powerful signal, an internal warning. It's your soul's way of saying, this is not who you are, this is not your purpose. But lust blinds you to this message. keeping you trapped in a cycle of false hope and fleeting pleasure. It steals your ability to live authentically and robs you of true joy. What lust promises is temporary satisfaction. What it delivers is spiritual barrenness, the slow withering of your soul's true desire.
3.
Spiritual barrenness, the soul's deprivation that lust inflicts. Spiritual barrenness isn't an overnight transformation. It's a gradual erosion that begins the moment we disconnect from our true purpose and higher calling. Lust in its most deceptive form is a silent thief, stealing the essence of our spiritual vitality without us even noticing. At first it seems harmless, maybe even satisfying, but what it leaves behind is emptiness, a void where purpose and true connection once thrived. Lust thrives on instant gratification. It promises fulfillment, but instead it leaves the soul hollow. Each indulgence feeds the desire, creating a vicious cycle that grows stronger with every passing moment. The more you chase it, the more it pulls you away from meaningful connections, from the depth of your soul's needs. It reduces you to a slave of your impulses, making you forget what truly matters. And like any addiction, the short bursts of pleasure become less fulfilling over time, pushing you to seek even more extreme forms of satisfaction, which only further entrenches the cycle of spiritual deprivation. As lust takes root, your sense of self begins to decay. It clouds your judgment, distorts your values, and leaves you disconnected from your true calling. It becomes harder to distinguish between what is real and what is temporary. The joy of purpose, the deep satisfaction that comes from spiritual growth, starts to feel distant, replaced by the fleeting highs of an unfulfilled desire. Over time you lose sight of your spiritual potential, and the once vibrant connection to your higher self weakens, leaving you in a barren state. In this barren state, the soul becomes thirsty for something meaningful but doesn't know where to turn. Without purpose, without clarity, you're left drifting in a sea of emptiness, spiritually malnourished. Lust, which once seemed like an answer, has become the very thing that keeps you from discovering the truth of who you are and the life you're meant to live. Breaking free from this spiritual barrenness requires conscious effort. You need to reconnect with your higher self, acknowledge the emptiness, and choose to step away from the immediate satisfaction that lust offers. By doing so, you begin the journey of healing, replacing the shallow promises of lust with the deep, lasting fulfillment of spiritual connection. Breaking free from lust's grip isn't easy. It's a battle that rages within, a constant internal struggle between your desires and your higher self. Lust isn't just an action, it's a mindset, a cycle that feeds on your weakness, dragging you deeper into its web every time you give in. But the first step to breaking the chains is recognizing that it's a battle worth fighting. The chains of lust are strong, formed over time by indulgence, habit, and neglect. It's tempting to think you can control it, that it's something you can indulge in without consequence. But that's the lie. Lust doesn't just attack your body, it poisons your mind and your soul. It replaces your connection to your higher purpose with a hollow pursuit of temporary satisfaction. The more you give in, the more it robs you of your energy, your clarity, and your ability to focus on what truly matters. The first thing you must do is confront the root cause. Lust thrives in the absence of awareness and purpose. When your life feels empty or disconnected, it becomes easy to seek temporary pleasure to fill that void. It's crucial to ask yourself why you're turning to lust in the first place. Is it loneliness? Is it a desire to escape? Identifying these emotional triggers is the key to breaking the cycle. Next, you need to take responsibility. The more you blame your impulses or external circumstances, the longer you remain trapped. Recognizing that you hold the power to change is empowering. Self-discipline is critical here. It's about learning to say no to fleeting pleasure in exchange for lasting spiritual and emotional fulfillment. You'll face temptation, but with each victory, you gain strength, and the grip of lust begins to loosen. Breaking the chains also requires rechanneling the energy that lust consumes. Rather than letting it drain you, use that energy to pursue things that fulfill you spiritually and emotionally. Redirect it into meaningful work, physical exercise, or building relationships based on respect and connection. The more you fill your life with purpose and healthy passions, the less space there is for lust to take hold. Finally, it's about resilience. Every time you resist, you're strengthening your willpower, building a new habit, and reclaiming the control that lust once had over you. Breaking free is not an overnight process. It's a constant effort. But with every day you choose to fight, you become more empowered, more connected to your true self. 5. The divine awakening, the power of transcendence over desires. The path to spiritual transcendence over lust begins with the awakening of divine awareness within you. This isn't about denying desires or pretending they don't exist. It's about rising above them, transforming your very relationship with them. When you realize that desires are fleeting, temporary and often tied to your lower self, you gain the power to transcend them. This is where true freedom begins. When you stop being controlled by fleeting urges and start aligning your life with a higher purpose. Transcendence starts with understanding the deeper truths of your being. You are not just a physical body or a mind driven by primal instincts. You are a spiritual being, connected to a source greater than yourself. Lust, when indulged in, disconnects you from this divine essence. It creates a divide, making you forget your true nature. Transcendence, however, reawakens you to this higher truth and reminds you that you are more than what you desire in the moment. The process of transcendence is a choice, one that requires discipline, self-awareness, and spiritual awakening. It involves seeing desire for what it truly is, an energy that can either be enslaving or liberating, depending on how you channel it. By practicing mindfulness and detachment, you can stop feeding these desires and redirect that energy towards something more powerful and fulfilling. This could be in the form of creativity, a higher calling, or a deeper connection with your inner self and the world around you. Breaking free from lust means creating space for your soul to thrive. It's not a matter of suppression, it's about elevation. Lust holds you captive to temporary satisfaction, while transcendence offers you lasting peace, purpose, and clarity. The more you focus on spiritual growth and self-mastery, the less influence these desires have over you. You begin to see them as transient distractions, not threats to your spiritual well-being. When you rise above desires, you open yourself to the divine flow of life. The distractions fade away and you find yourself aligned with a greater sense of peace and purpose. This is the power of transcendence, the ability to rise above the noise of the world and reconnect with your divine essence, living a life fueled by purpose rather than indulgence. My ebook 7 Biblical Secrets to Destroy Lust offers proven scripture-based strategies to reclaim your spiritual strength and live a life of purpose. Inside, you'll discover actionable steps to crush temptation and build lasting freedom. Don't wait any longer. Take control of your journey today. Click the link in the description or pinned comment to grab your copy now and begin your transformation. It's time to rise above and live the life you were meant to live. The Rebirth, transforming lust's energy into a higher calling. The key is learning how to redirect this energy, transforming it from a destructive force into something that fuels a higher purpose. When you overcome lust, you're not simply suppressing an urge or resisting temptation. You're rechanneling a deep emotional current into something more meaningful. This energy, once wasted on transient pleasure, can now be used to drive your spiritual growth, creativity, and sense of purpose. Instead of drowning in fleeting desires, you rise above them, discovering your deeper, more authentic self. The first step in this transformation is self-awareness. Recognizing the root of your desires is crucial. Lust isn't just about physical attraction. It's about seeking fulfillment in something that can never truly satisfy. Once you identify the void you're attempting to fill, you can begin to shift your focus. You don't need to fight against the energy, you need to reframe it, seeing it not as something to destroy but as raw power to be harnessed. Redirecting this energy begins with discipline. It's about building inner strength, focusing on long-term goals, and investing your energy into meaningful pursuits. Rather than using your time to gratify instant cravings, channel it into areas that contribute to your growth. Whether it's physical fitness, creativity, spiritual practices, or personal development, the energy once consumed by lust can now fuel something far more fulfilling. The act of transmutation is a sacred one. Think of it like the alchemy of the soul, turning base desires into gold. This process requires patience and dedication. You may stumble along the way, but with every step you're building a foundation that is grounded in higher principles. Lust loses its power when you replace it with purpose. In this rebirth you find deeper connection, not just to others but to your own soul and the divine. You no longer look outside for fulfillment because you've learned to tap into the boundless well of energy within. This is where true freedom lies. Not in suppression but in the transformation of lust's energy into a force that aligns with your higher calling. The journey from lust to purpose is one of reclamation. You reclaim your energy, your focus, and your life, and in doing so you become who you were always meant to be. 7. Living with vision. How to create a life full of purpose beyond lust. Beyond lust. Living with vision means choosing a life that is guided by purpose, clarity, and a deep connection to something greater than fleeting desires. Lust offers instant gratification, but it leaves you empty, perpetually chasing the next fix. Living with vision, on the other hand, involves cultivating a mindset that prioritizes long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. The first step in creating a life beyond lust is self-awareness. You must be brutally honest with yourself about how lust affects your life. Acknowledge the ways it drains your energy, distorts your goals, and keeps you from living with intention. Once you see the reality of its grip, you can start making conscious choices that align with your higher purpose. Next, set clear, meaningful goals that resonate with your values. This isn't about checking boxes on a to-do list. It's about aligning your actions with your deepest desires, your soul's calling. Vision starts with defining what truly matters to you. It's not about avoiding lust, but about filling the space it once occupied with something far more fulfilling: passion for your work, dedication to your relationships, a commitment to your spiritual growth. Focus on cultivating habits that reinforce your vision. Replace the impulsive need to satisfy lustful desires with consistent practices that build your mental and emotional strength. Daily rituals, whether it's meditation, exercise, journaling, or studying, will help you stay grounded in your purpose. These habits will become the foundation for a life of discipline, focus, and fulfillment. Another key element is building relationships that reflect your vision. Surround yourself with people who inspire and challenge you to grow, those who align with your values and support your spiritual journey. The people you spend time with play a massive role in shaping your mindset. By investing in healthy, meaningful relationships, you create a network of support that propels you toward your purpose. Living with vision also means being willing to sacrifice immediate gratification for long-term fulfillment. This might mean stepping away from certain environments or cutting out habits that no longer serve your greater goals. You must be willing to endure discomfort in the short term to experience real growth in the long term. Finally, remember that vision is not static. It evolves. As you grow spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, so will your purpose. Embrace the changes, keep refining your vision, and never settle for anything less than the life you were meant to live. The more you live with purpose, the less room there is for lust to take hold, because the drive for true fulfillment will always outweigh the temporary high of desire. The final choice you face is more profound than it seems. It's a decision that shapes everything about your life, from your relationships to your sense of purpose. It's the choice between living in fullness or fading away in the shadows of lust. Lust is a powerful force, and while it promises temporary satisfaction, it ultimately leads to spiritual depletion. Every time you give in to it, you take a step further away from your true self. It may seem harmless at first, just a fleeting desire or a passing indulgence. But in truth, every indulgence in lust is like planting a seed of emptiness within you. Over time, that seed grows, and the more you feed it, the more it takes hold of your soul. Lust blinds you to what truly matters, trapping you in a cycle of need and craving that never ends. Living in fullness, on the other hand, is a choice of power, growth, and meaning. It's the decision to align yourself with something greater than momentary pleasures, to live with purpose, clarity, and depth. This isn't a life free of challenges, but a life where your spiritual foundation is unshaken. When you choose to move away from lust, you reclaim your energy, your focus, and your divine connection. The decision is about what kind of person you want to be and the life you want to lead. Will you continue to be a slave to fleeting pleasures, allowing your soul to wither in the shadows? Or will you choose to break free from the chains of lust and step into the light of spiritual fulfillment? The choice is yours, to remain in the darkness or to embrace a life of fullness and purpose. To choose fullness means to live authentically, with a sense of pride and integrity, knowing that you're not driven by hollow desires, but by a deep connection to something far more significant. You step away from the emptiness that lust creates and into a life of true richness, a life that nourishes your soul, strengthens your relationships, and aligns you with your higher calling. So the question is simple: do you want to fade away in the shadows of lust, or do you want to rise up and live in the fullness of your true potential? The decision you make today shapes the life you will live tomorrow. 9. Empowered rebirth, the strength found in breaking free from lust. Breaking free from lust is not just about resisting temptation. It's about reclaiming your soul's strength, reclaiming your purpose, and transforming your life. When you free yourself from lust's grip, you experience a powerful rebirth, one that reinvigorates every area of your being. It's not an instant fix, but rather a journey that requires conscious effort, strength, and the willingness to fight for something greater. Lust, at its core, is about seeking immediate gratification, a fleeting pleasure that leaves a void in its wake. It promises satisfaction but only delivers emptiness. When you break free, you no longer find yourself trapped in the cycle of momentary highs, followed by guilt, shame, and spiritual depletion. Instead, you rediscover your true essence, a sense of purpose that is deeply rooted in something far more meaningful than temporary satisfaction. The strength you gain from overcoming lust lies in the clarity of mind and purity of spirit that follow. You become more attuned to your higher self, no longer distracted by the shallow desires that once held you captive. The mental fog lifts, allowing you to see life from a clearer perspective. You begin to see what truly matters: relationships, personal growth, and the pursuit of long-term goals, things that were once clouded by the overpowering need for instant gratification. Furthermore, breaking free from lust cultivates emotional resilience. Each time you choose to redirect your energy towards something more constructive, you reinforce your ability to make empowered decisions. You begin to take ownership of your thoughts, actions, and desires, no longer allowing external temptations to control your narrative. This shift in power is profound. You reclaim the driver's seat of your life. Your relationships also transform when you shed the weight of lust. Instead of being driven by unhealthy desires, you approach connections with depth, respect, and authenticity. Lust often distorts how we view others, reducing them to mere objects of gratification. But when you break free, you are able to see and appreciate people for who they truly are, building stronger and more meaningful bonds. Ultimately, breaking free from lust gives you a deeper connection to your spiritual essence. The process isn't just about avoiding temptation, but about rediscovering the peace, strength, and clarity that lie at the core of who you truly are. It's a rebirth, a new beginning that empowers you to live a life aligned with your highest purpose, where fulfillment is found not in fleeting pleasures, but in enduring peace and purpose. The ultimate victory lies not in simply breaking free from lust, but in transcending it entirely, embracing the life of purpose, clarity, and spiritual fulfillment. Lust, with its fleeting promises of satisfaction, keeps you shackled to a cycle of emptiness. The real victory comes when you choose to step beyond its grasp, when you awaken to the truth that there is far more to life than momentary pleasures and shallow desire. To embrace a life beyond the shadows of lust, you must first understand that victory isn't about fighting the desire itself. It's about replacing it with something greater. The key lies in realigning your soul with a higher calling, a calling of purpose, strength, and Lust tries to pull you into a temporary escape, a world of instant gratification that leaves you hollow inside. But living beyond it requires you to shift your focus onto things that feed your spirit, things that bring lasting fulfillment. This victory comes through discipline. It's not about pretending desires don't exist, but choosing to redirect your energy towards something more meaningful. You are not weak for having desires, but stronger when you choose to master them. The strength to say no to what diminishes you and yes to what elevates you is where the real power lies. This shift in mindset transforms you into someone who doesn't settle for empty distractions, but actively pursues what aligns with your true value. The victory is also about rediscovering connection. Lust thrives in isolation, in moments of weakness, when you feel disconnected from yourself and others. True victory comes when you rebuild a connection to your higher self, to the divine truth within you. It's about seeing yourself as worthy of a life of depth, meaning, and spiritual richness, not a life dictated by shallow cravings and empty pursuit. Finally, the ultimate victory is in freedom. Freedom from the chains of lust, freedom to live in the fullness of your potential, and freedom to create a life of lasting joy, peace, and connection. You become a person who no longer succumbs to the fleeting satisfaction of lust, but instead embraces a life rooted in purpose, clarity, and self-mastery. The victory is not just about overcoming lust, it's about becoming the best version of yourself, free from the shadows, and fully alive in the light. It's time to face the truth. Lust is not just a temporary indulgence, it's a spiritual battle, one that, if left unchecked, can lead to a lifetime of emptiness, confusion, and destruction. Every moment you feed it, you lose a piece of yourself, your purpose, and your connection to the divine. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay trapped in this cycle. The power to break free is in your hand. It starts with making a choice to rise above the distractions, to reclaim your spirit, and to live a life rooted in truth, discipline, and divine strength. This transformation is not a one-time event. It's a journey that begins with understanding the deeper truths about lust, your purpose, and the spiritual strength you already possess. You've seen how deeply lust can affect your soul, and now it's time to act. The choice is yours. You can either remain in the shadows, or embrace the light, and step into the freedom you were meant to live. If you're ready to take control, to fully embrace your spiritual rebirth, and to destroy lust before it destroys you. I've created something that will guide you every step of the way. My ebook, 7 Biblical Secrets to Destroy Lust Before It Destroys You, is packed with actionable scripture-based strategies designed to help you break free from lust's grip and reclaim the life of purpose, peace, and clarity that you deserve. It's time to stop living in defeat and start living in victory. Click the link in the description or the pinned comment to get your copy now. This is your moment to take control, to rise above, and to finally break free. Don't wait. Your transformation begins today.